All right. Welcome everyone to Wednesday Night Perry. We always have it's workshop Wednesdays. This is the day that we work on projects. Sometimes it's in the workshop. Sometimes it's here at the computer running some Tinkercad or sometimes Blender. And right now we're in Tinkercad because I have a number of projects that I've been meaning to get to. So we're going to crank out a bunch of things today. Um, I have a blank project open here. I'm a little torn on where we start. I think we're gonna start with hey Nicka Beans, welcome. I think we're gonna start by hopping into the wind up Perry. For those who don't recall, this is the little Perry that goes on a little wind up blank here. And we have a little playset that comes out of this. Um, I need to design a second one of these because we need a wind up rip that will fight me. Sorry I missed you last night. I sort of rescued a puppy. Oh, hey, that's a fine reason to miss a stream. I would certainly not hold that against anybody. Um, but yeah, glad you're here tonight. Yeah, so once this it's loading up. Sometimes Tinkercad can be a little bit slow. Once this loads up, I'm gonna copy everything I have here over into our other blank 3D file here, and we're gonna work on a Rip Bison. It's not gonna need a lot of customization past what we already see here. The hair is going to be different. And I think he needs a headband, a little bandana like he wears these days. We are gonna title our file Wind Up Ripper. All right, and that means I can close the Wind Up Perry. And the first thing we're gonna do here is we are going to ungroup this so that we can alter him. The body's not going to need to change, which is nice. I had considered changing the body a little bit, give him like a slightly different pose. I don't think that's even necessary. Um, the whole idea with these is that they're supposed to resemble those sort of quickly made toys from Tomy toys that are so unique. Hey, hey, Cody Brooks, welcome, bud. Hey, and look at that Nightbot in the chat. Thanks, Nightbot. All right, so we need to change this so that it's a little bit more like Rip. And I've been thinking a little about how I would want to do this. He rocks a ponytail these days. So I think we have to completely redo the hair. We're going to leave the face as is. There is a chance that I end up changing this design altogether and giving a sort of flat area right here in the face so that we can just get stickers of people's faces, have like an artist draw the face, and we'll put stickers of the different wrestlers' faces on there. I'm kind of undecided on that for now. For right now, I've been sort of just drawing like very simple little face on there. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting messages. Mm. The little pupper. Well, the little guy looks happy. All right, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. I think we're going to start over on the hair and give this guy, we've done sort of a little like a chibi, very cutesy kind of look on this. And we're gonna stick with that if I can. So deselect that, and then let's get rid of the hair for now. And we're gonna work on making this look a bit more like Ol' Ripper. Ol' Ripper. It looks so weird once we remove the hair. The head looks placed odd and the head looks small, but with the hair everything gets bigger. And the little version of this does look pretty cool. All right, so first things first, he needs he needs what we're going to do for his hair. His hair goes in a ponytail and he has a headband around. So I think I'm going to start with the headband, which is going to be pretty easy. I'm actually going to go with I want to go with, no. We're just going to stick with basic shapes. And again, anyone who's ever seen me do this kind of design knows that I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do as we go. So let's get our top view here. Bring it around to roughly where we want to be. Now this is going to end up absolutely not being an oval. You can see it's already like, because it's not totally square on the head, it's a little strange. All right, let's get the top view here. And let's, it's like a bandana Tupac style. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's Rip does the yeah, when it was crooked, it was a little more Tupac style. Yeah, that does end up looking Tupac style. Wow, that's weird. Okay. I believe what I'm going to do is literally just make it bigger in the hopes that that helps here. Okay. View here. We're going to put it about there. And then I want to bring this down to like there somewhere. And I believe that there's a way. No, that's not it. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want. I just want to come in pretty even on it. Yeah, we're going to do like that because I want this to be a little bit oversized, a little bit chunky, you know? It's got to be a bit much, really. Because that's if anyone I know is a bit much, it's Rip. He'd be the first to tell you. All right. So let's come out here with, oh, that's not where we want that at all. We want to actually drop it in our work surface. Now we're going to turn that 90. Let's get a right hand view here. Put it up about where we want it. And somewhere like that. There we go. And now we're going to size this how we want. Grab this back piece, bring it into about there. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good start. Gonna recenter here, kind of right over the nose there. Zoom in, make sure the height looks good. Okay, yeah, that actually looks really good. I kind of want it to sink into there. There we go. Yeah. All right. So that is going to be the first of his hair. The hair on the top of his head's all tied back, and then on the back, we're going to see it all come together into like a ponytail. So what I need from this then, Control D, and then I'm going to tilt it just a little and move it over and make it just a little shorter. And let's see, how's that look? Still connecting everywhere. Looks pretty okay to me. I'm going to bring it in maybe just a hair. There we go. And then we'll do it again, all the while making sure that it's Still looking pretty good. Okay, now that one is going to need to come up a little. All right, that's good. Okay, that one's got to be a little long. See, now this is where it gets to be a little trial and error. You just kind of you fuss with it as you go. You make sure that each one's going to work. And it's okay how they're kind of coming in and out here because these parts are really itty bitty and you'll never see it. And the only thing that really matters is that we get coverage. Because if you've ever seen Rip with a bandana, this is kind of what happens. It all does kind of come right back to the back of the bandana. All right, now come to the front. I'm going to select all but one of them, deselect his dumb head. Command D. We are going to flip it horizontally. And then I'm going to move it on over to right about there. Looks pretty even to me. That looks pretty good. All right, I feel good about that. In a second here, we're going to give him some more hair like that from here. Kind of all around the back, coming to one spot, and then we'll give him just a little ponytail there. Had him in X67 checking in. His bag's all packed. He's getting ready for that darts tournament. Gonna have one last night of practice before I head to Okaboji. That's what we decided, right? In the morning. Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. Well, travel safe. We'll all be cheering for you from here on Perry's channel. All right. I like that. I think that's looking pretty good. I almost want to make it all a little bit taller, stretch his head up, but Rip doesn't have a very tall, narrow head. He's got kind of a fat head. Don't tell him I said that. It's rude. Middle of northern Iowa, about 100 miles east of me. Well, travel safe. 100 miles isn't that far. That's a short drive. You show up with a big foam finger saying you're number one. Where the fudge is that? Where the fudge is that? About an hour and a half. Oh yeah, that's an easy drive. Psh, that's nothing. Uh, me and Rip and Paul, production Paul, who films a lot of the wrestling out here. We had a about a 6 hour drive to get up to the show in Maine this weekend. So yeah, I feel pretty happy to be back from that, quite honestly. All right, now I just got to figure out how I want to do the hair on the back here for his little ponytail. And I think what I want to do is kind of copy these. Well, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So we're gonna do one of those. Deselect that, Control D. And now that whole piece we have a lot of leeway with, and we can kind of work with that. So I'm gonna tip it on its side. Oh, Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Let's get ourselves a front view here. Gonna go to about there-ish. Then shrink it in. We're going to end up shrinking this in a bunch of directions here in a second, but I just sort of need something to start from, you know? 6 hour drive would have been if I went out to Deadwood this weekend for the dart tournament out there. Wow. What's the furthest you've gone for a darts tournament? That's really interesting. It's just like something I never really thought about. Yeah, we want to start somewhere right about there for sure. And we're gonna shrink it all in here. back more. Yeah, start from there. That's pretty good. Let's see how that's looking. Yeah, that's what we wanted. Perfect. Cool. Just the indications there. That's what we're looking for. See, Cody says, so I booted up my Wii for the first time in a while and honestly just forgot how fun the Skylanders games are to play. The Wii is such a fun system. There were so many fun things that came out for it. Like, it really doesn't get the credit that it deserves. You know what I mean? Like, it just like everyone remembers how great Wii Sports was, and then no one ever talks about anything else that came out for it, which is pretty unfair because it had some great stuff. All right, let's get a view from the back here. Let's bring it in, bring it in. Right about there looks pretty even. 'Cause right now I'm just going for this being even. I just want the indication of where his hair starts. That's looking good. Okay, good. Right now I want to kind of do the same thing. Just gonna select as much of these as I can here. There we go. Just needed a small selection of this stuff. Of every Skylander. That and the Disney one with figure. Oh yeah, yeah. I remember how much people loved that. Because that's there's some of that one. Oh god, it was I had a roommate in college who played the games with the figures. Swore by it too. Okay, something like that ought to do. Let's get a back view here. And we can bring it to like here or so. Yeah, that's gonna work. Now we're just gonna move it in. And then over and back. I'm even gonna stretch this up just a hair. How are we looking? Looking pretty good? Yeah, looking pretty good. Now again, remember this is gonna be on a very small figure. Uh, the exact textures of what we're seeing here are not going to matter. So I'm really just trying to get the vague idea of what we want here. Okay, that's about the height we're looking for. Let's get a top view. Kind of want to stretch it back a little. And if it's uneven, that's even kind of better. It looks a little more real and natural that way. Okay, that's looking good. So now I'm going to put a little thing here that's going to be like essentially his hair tie. You know what I mean? Um, that I'm actually going to copy this because I can work with that. Okay, we'll go about there. We're going to get on down to like about there. It's it's a comedically large hair tie, which is sort of the idea. This whole character's very I said it before, it's chibi, it's very sort of like cutesy wootsy anime style. So that's kind of what we're going for there. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. And then we just got to have like a ponytail that comes off of it. And there's a few different ways I could do that. think I think I'm going to go to our scribble tool, put that down, and what I want is, it's kind of hard to describe, something kind of that shape, um, but also like solid and filled in. Anyone who's seen me use the like scribble tool before knows that this is pure chaos until it's not. Okay. I've never actually looked at what the tools are here. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna say done. And now we've got this like weird blob thing here. Now I just have to figure out which way I had intended to be like pointing in what direction. I think this is pretty close. Let's get the back view. Let's zoom in on the item. There we go. It switched my views. I hate when it does that. Yeah, this is pretty good. This is kind of just what I had pictured. About like that, and then we're gonna shrink that in. Now see, I want to get rid of this gap here, but there's other ways I can do it. I guess what I'm going to do is probably put it at a bit of an angle. You're all sort of seeing where the design elements of this and the potential for like sort of a more sculpting style design kind of come together here. Okay. Now what's important is that there's no gap here. So we're going to cut all the way in just like that. That's what I want. Outstanding. Cool, because that's going to be Rip's little ponytail right there. So now I want a top view. What happens if I bring this way back like that? Does that, yeah, that kind of messes it up. All right, I like it being sunk in. All right, so now what I do with the top view is going to be very similar to what I did with the rest of the hair. I'm going to Control D. We're going to angle it out just a little bit, and then I'm going to boom, boom. Okay. Yeah, kind of messy ponytail. That's good. And now I'm gonna, let's see, this one. Let's start with that one first. I'm gonna just bring it in because I want that hair tie to still be like obvious. There we go. That's what I wanted. In fact, this I'm gonna get out of the way there, and let's get a look. Okay, ponytail's starting to come together. So if I can, I'm gonna highlight those three pieces I just made. Control D those. Flip them horizontally, and that ought to do it. I mean, boom. Rip with a ponytail. So to get the full feeling of Rip here, now I'm kind of wondering, do I want to stretch some of this up? Do I want to make his head a bit bigger? I think I kind of do. So let's go ahead and grab all of that and then ungrab that. So now I just have those top bits there. Now let's see what happens if we just give them a little stretcheroo. I do want to make sure I'm not creating any weird gaps. It's like I may need to like sink it down a little, but still kind of stretch it. Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely needs to stretch up a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better. And now we're gonna grab this piece and I do wanna make this just a hair more prominent. You know what I mean? I don't want it to accidentally become like a blindfold, but I do want it to be like really obvious because it needs to stand out on the figure, else why is it there? All right, now to give us the rip look, we're gonna see what's gonna be my best angle to do this. Probably here. We're gonna come about like that. We're gonna deselect that, and deselect the hair tie. I'm gonna go with like a nice dark gray because that reads as more black. And now that, I mean, his hair tie is usually black too, but just for visuals for us, I'm gonna make it very black, so it's slightly darker black, as Sterling Archer might say. And then Rip's headband, I believe, God, I'm gonna have to pull up a reference picture of my own tag partner. I tagged with him last weekend and wrestled against him the weekend before. Got no clue what the guy looks like. Oh, well, that's good news. All right, let's pull up a Rip reference picture. I might drag it into frame so we can all see. See, Uncle Ripper, Uncle Ripper. I guess his headband is black. For those who didn't know, old Uncle Ripper won some gold over the weekend. Became a tag team champion with Mike Grassa over at Fight Life. Pretty stoked for old Ripper. But yeah, he wears a black headband just for the sake of us seeing it well. I'm gonna make it like white just so we can see it. But that's basically our rip. Now is where I have to look at this and decide like, is it too much? Is the headband too much? Does it end up looking like a hat? Like it might a little. Now there's ways around that. We could tilt the headband. We can try to make it less prominent. Let's see. What if we go back like that? And then I'm just going to bring it down a smidge. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Maybe it can even come in on the edges a little bit. I don't want to lose like the way that it currently works with the hair, but I think that looks pretty good. So that's our wind up Ripper. He doesn't need a ton of work other than what I've done there. He needed the ponytail, he needed the headband. Chris Book says, I was there, such a good match. I don't doubt it for a second. They were the first match, right? They opened the show. I think I saw that. Is that correct? All right, there's our wind up Ripper. Boom. One project complete. Okay. I gotta pick what project I want to do next. All right, so I'll check in with folks in the chat. There's a few of us here. I have a couple different projects to work on next. Um, I'm looking up a example. There we go. That's gonna do it. Oh, dang it! Just give me the image. There we go. So we can either. I need to do some design on my monster truck chassis toys. This is an old Hot Wheels Bigfoot. So, are you going to work on super secret transforming Perry Von Vicious figure that transforms into a monster truck? I'm not. I do have, if you're interested, there is only one remaining half human, half monster truck Perry Von Vicious figure. Really rolls on its wheels, self balances. There's only one left, and a few people have expressed interest. There's only one that remains, so if anyone's looking to add that to the old toy collection, do not hesitate to send old Pear Bear a message. That's right, Herobotic has one of those. Great emote reaction. Half human, half monster truck, all awesome. Oh, hang on, that's going on a t-shirt. In fact, Nickabeans, copy that and DM it to me. That's going on a t-shirt. Um, I have two projects that I'm kind of considering. One is I need to work on some of my monster trucks because I have a pile of bodies that I was working on stream the other night. I can actually show what I have here. I've got a pile of bodies. I have the Bigfoot Power Wheels. I've got the old school Samson with the fists. I've got this awesome little Chevy square body. I've got this sort of Hot Wheels rally truck that I stole off of a beater toy, and then this very plain and simple, just a square body Blazer. And I need to design chassis of those. I have a pile of bodies, Perry Von Vicious. Man, I am just we are just rolling with great quotes here. Some sort of odd cannibalism graveyard for you. Yeah, it's all the various bits of things that I'm willing to allow to be deceased in my presence. Um, I'm a little torn on what I want to do because I can work on those. I can crank out some chassis designs and then get those printing, and I don't even have the shelf space to display everything anyway. So there's no huge rush on those other than I have this pile of beautiful little die-cast pieces waiting to be used. Or I need to start work on a project that will be for the merch table. It'll be for 2026. Um, I absolutely adore, we've talked about it on the channel before. I absolutely adore the old muscle figures, the kinnikuman series, these guys. And if I design a few of them, 3D printing them is relatively easy and relatively inexpensive. They're all single color, so there's no crazy painting to be done. And I was kind of debating like they're supposed to be a little bit rubbery. I don't really print in rubbery materials if I can help it. It's a very finicky situation. Um, but they don't need to be because they're not really play toys. They're kind of just stick on the little shelf and they're 2.5 inches tall, give or take. Um, yeah, is that right? No, they're about 2 inches, maybe 1 3/4 inches. I've been meaning to design some of those, and if I do that work in Tinkercad, what I'm looking to do is design just a couple sort of simple shape bodies where we kind of just were blocking it out because then I will take those files, bring them into Blender, and that's where I'll do sort of the fine character sculpting. But in Tinkercad, very quickly, and it's much easier for me, much more natural. I can get us our body shapes and sort of like kind of rough the design out. So that's sort of what I'm torn between. Um, I will say at some point I'm gonna pull it up for you. Come on. There was the coolest play set that they made for these in the 80s. It was only in Japan. Um, oh, come on. And at some point, I need to design my own because they are impossible to get a hold of now. Let's see. Come on, where's the arena playset? because it's like their Coliseum arena. I'm trying to figure out what I need to search for it because they had this, which is amazing. I'm bringing pictures in for everybody to see. They had this, which is excellent. It's a little play arena where you could stick your guy in this little arm and then this joystick moves that arm and they kind of fight in there. If I make that out of 3D printing, it'll be crushed and destroyed on the first playthrough. That's not a 3D printable toy. But they also had, there's like a Coliseum playset that they had for them. I'm trying to find an image because it is, oh, there it is. Yeah, the Kaniku Coliseum. Unreal how cool this thing is. So here's one that is crazy. That's it in the box. You can sort of see the arena here and how many fit in it. There's like the banners, like the sumo halls and a big tournament thing. Um, trying to find a better image because this is truly one of the coolest like toy play sets that I've ever seen, and I desperately want one. There it is. That's the picture we wanted. All right, you're all in for a treat now because this thing rules. Like, come on, get a look at that. The little ring is great. The seating area that wraps around, the way it all clips together, the banners that hang down, the big pictures of the guys, like this is like the perfect little and considering each of these are only an inch and a quarter tall, this whole thing's only like a little over a foot tall. So it's not that huge. And if I printed it in parts and designed that, it would be amazing. That's got to be its own stream entirely because there's so much to contend with there. I might need to do mine a little like more straightforward, a little more square shaped rather than the circles. That said, I might be able to do the circles too. Um, so I think we kind of it sounds like designing our own little kinnikuman figure, like a couple blanks, maybe like in different poses, might be a good start. Just something that I can work from when I'm over in Blender, and maybe I'll do the monster trucks another time. All right, I want to let's see. I think I'm going to try to get a side by side here so that we have a couple Kinnikuman images next to Tinkercad. So everyone hang tight while I set that image up. I'm trying to get it in a very specific way. There we go. Da, da, da. I have a bunch of the different theme songs from various Japanese wrestlers of the 80s been stuck in my head kind of all day. Yeah, that's a good picture. And let's see if I can get this guy into frame where I want him. I know this must be thrilling to watch. There we go. That's going to be, this is the setup that I kind of want for now. It limits my working space, but I think that's going to give us a pretty good ability to see kind of what I'm working on versus what I'm trying to make. So let's see, we're going to create new 3D design. See how long we've been going, about 40 minutes. Yeah, we got time. We've got time. All right. So when I'm designing these guys, I'm thinking, where do I want to start? I don't necessarily want to start with the feet or the legs. I mean, I could do one leg, work my way up, and then yeah, because I want these guys to be very symmetrical. You want them to stand really well, and I know that means that the feet have to be pretty substantial. I would design these already to scale, but my all my Keshi examples are in the other room, and I don't want to run and grab them. So I'm just going to make one that feels like a good working size, and then I can shrink it down later. You know what I mean? All right. So for the feet, because we want them flat on the bottom, let's start with sort of this half dome here. What do they call it? Do they have a name? Half sphere. Okay, I was pretty close. Um, let's get a top view. I call that roughly foot shaped for what they have. We can sort of see their feet in the pictures here. And their feet do kind of sprawl out a little. They're also a little bit wide, so I'm gonna change my millimeter breakup just a little bit there. That looks pretty good to me. All right. And then going up the legs to make their legs, I think I'm gonna stick with spheres. I think we're gonna work primarily in spheres here. So again, I'm eyeballing all of this because I want to make the calf here. Yeah, even that might be a bit much. We want to come down. It's a little squat little calf, isn't it, on this guy? Let's get back view. Yeah, and I want it off center like that. I want it a little further back. Um, Now when the time comes where I'm pulling these into yeah, I want to put the steps way up, make these nice and smooth. Oh, do I not get a choice on the half sphere? Okay, well that's fine. Um, when the time comes where I load this into Blender, I'll be smoothing some of these shapes together. So any kind of awkward bits here, it's fine. So I'm gonna Control D, raise this up, and we're gonna make the guy's quad first here. So let's get a just a straight on front view. Now, of course, it's thicker at the top than the bottom, so I think the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to make it really long and let it disappear up into the rest of the body, maybe. Yeah, that's kind of the view I want. Let's hunker it down a little, and let's take a look at our angle. We want it coming in some. I want it somewhere like about there. Let's get a top view, see where we're going here exactly. And we can also make these like oblongs. So like I can kind of do like one of those. Maybe it stretches this way a little. And then I kind of want it to lean forward just a hair. that we're kind of keeping, we want to keep that center line close to the center of these feet. Okay, now I want to sink down some. Yeah, that feels about right. I do want to put a little piece in the middle so that he's kind of got like, is, do I want to give, yeah, I want to give him this kneecap. Shrink one way down, shrink it on in. Something like that. Let's get a look. Yeah, that looks okay. That looks pretty good. Bearing in mind, of course, that all of these are going to end up customized. So the plan with this, holy crap, how have I never noticed that guy before? Get a load of this guy. Hang on. How have I never noticed that, like, there's a guy with monster truck tires for shoulders in the Kinnikuman universe? Holy crap. All right, sorry. Let's focus up here. The idea is that eventually I will be sculpting on these a lot to make a large portion of the grind roster. It's something that I've talked with Delmy and Rip about for a long time that we kind of wanted to do. So with any luck, that's where this little project is headed. Okay, that looks like a pretty good representation of the legs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this whole thing, Control D, flip it horizontally, and then I'm just going to glide it over till you can see on that little figure that his quads are just kind of barely making contact with each other. And that's kind of where I want to go with it. Now this does give me a chance to sort of consider, like, do I like these angles? Do I want them to be a little bit stronger? I I think I do kind of want his feet a little further apart. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just bring them out to like there. You know what? I can bring them in. I do want to change the angle of these feet a little bit. So I want to kind of, yeah, give them a little jaunty angle there. Let them have a little, and let's not make them totally uniform. Let's make them slightly different from each other. One forward a little more than the other. Now we can come over to like here, and that's looking a little bit more interesting. I like that. So now for the sort of trunks area where everything kind of comes together. I gotta figure out what shape's gonna work for that. And I think I'm literally gonna keep sticking with spheres as much as I can. Spheres and probably some cylinders will be what I end up using for a lot of this. Yeah, let's bring one in here. Let's bring the steps all the way up. I actually do want to, let's see, can I put the steps up on that? I guess not. All right. Let's get this somewhere that makes sense. Let's get a front view. Now let's try just filling in the space here. Because again, I'm going to be sculpting on this later to kind of smooth everything out, make sure everything's good and connected. Yeah, let's bring that down and then up a little. Okay, now that's not too bad for sort of what's essentially our trunks, you know what I mean? Like the trunk line's going to kind of be here. So that's not too bad. Now I think I want to do a series of cylinders or maybe a cone to make this top piece. You know, because I think I could probably do. We need like a cylinder to finish this part, and then something here. This is again, you're all kind of seeing me design this and try this out like first time ever in real time. I think right about here we want the trunk line about there. So let's come in with, I mean, maybe it's the half sphere flipped upside down. Yeah, what the heck? Let's bring a half sphere in here. Make it a bit taller. Let's get a front view. Bring it up so daisy. Flip it. And now let's just see, like, let's try to center it as best we can over the hips there. And now let's, just for the heck of it, let's see what happens if we kind of start to hone it together here. That's kind of how I want this. Something, yeah, a bit like that, because it's got to start coming back out at some point. You know, like he can't just keep getting more and more slender as he goes up. Yeah, that's actually probably going to work pretty well. Yeah, let's bring it in a little. Let's get that top view. Get that thing centered. Something like that. I know Nickabeans is usually working on crafts of her own while I'm doing these. I want to know, are you working on anything tonight? Or are we all just chilling and relaxing? I almost wonder, what's this look like if I... Ah, okay, all right, all right. I think that actually is great. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna do like that, because again, I'm gonna sculpt over a lot of this. Keep it all sort of shaped about like that. And that's gonna be just down to under the chest line there. Control D. Interesting. Yeah, that's what we're looking to do. And I definitely want them to be a little bit wide out the front. In fact, I want this to do the same. I want it to be a little bit, yeah, cool. This is actually coming together a lot better than I'd kind of thought it would. Now it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things going on here, but one thing that I find particularly interesting about this is that I'm using a tool. I'm using Tinkercad for something it's not really designed for. It's not really meant to be a sculpting tool. And that's sort of what we're doing. We're designing a blank for an organic shape. Okay. Now I want to now I want to just get an idea of how close we are, if we're getting super off the mark on our shaping and everything. So let's get a front view. Just going to bring this over and let's see. It's actually that's shaping up pretty okay. I'm pretty surprised with that. Okay. All right. So I think what I want to do next is kind of get, because the head's just going to be a circle. Just got to give him something there. Um, but I think what I want to do is get him some shoulders, and then we can build out the arms, and we might even like I kind of want to give him those hands. Like that's a very sort of classic. Like you can see a lot of these figures have these kind of oversized hands, and because they were molding these figures, the way that they're done, the hands, the fingers are kind of together. You see how they're like it looks wide, but when you look, they're all touching. It's just the way they're sculpted, and that's so that it was one solid piece. Because if they tried to mold something as skinny as one of those little bitty fingers, it would just rip off. Some beefy arms like I get a copyright strike for that. The brothers chap don't pay that much attention, I don't think. All right, I'm just gonna try to free form a little bit because I know we want like a little bit of a boulder shoulder on the edge there, but we also need like the center of the chest filled in. So I think what I need to do, let's get our center of chest first. I think for that, we're kind of more or less going to like kind of box this in. Like we're just going to try to match like pretty close. Again, I'm gonna smooth a lot of this out in Blender, which will change how this works a great deal. And then yeah, let's bring it back a bit. I'm gonna lower this down, but then I'm gonna bring it up. Yeah, we'll start there. That's gonna kind of, wow, that actually came out pretty great. Again, you're all sort of watching me like have no clue of how I'm going to do this because I hadn't decided on projects when I started the stream tonight. I brought up some of the trucks and things, and I may still get to those at some point, but probably not tonight. Okay. I'm liking what we have so far. Okay, I think all our scale and everything is looking pretty good. Now, what you can't see on this, it's implied in the image a little bit, is that the arms don't go straight out to the sides. They kind of come forward a little, and that's going to be something we're gonna need to contend with as we continue our design here. I'm gonna Control D. I want to go a little smaller, something like about there, probably. Maybe like there. And this is going to function as like the lats. And they're not super pronounced on a lot of these guys, but it will help to sort of connect our head and our deltoids and everything. Okay. Now, I did do some muscle style figures when I was very first making toys in 2020 and 2021. Um, but they were only to sort of this level. Like they were very chunky and kind of weird. Maybe I'll post some pictures of those. But I had a Delmy that I designed and a Rip I designed, and then I got very lazy when it came time to make mine, and I literally found just like a body online that I could kind of customize a little bit, and then just like a generic head and hair. Excuse me. And that was what I used, and it meant that it didn't fit the design aesthetic in any way. Um, and I feel like I have gotten past that. I'm better than that now. All right, so I'm going to start with a fresh sphere here rather than copying one. Let's bring it on up, bring it on over. And again, I'm working from our reference image here. So we want this delt to kind of come up to about there. It's definitely going to be further back about like that. And then, yeah, because we want it just a little bit higher than that stuff. And it stays actually, it's pretty far out. This might need to be oblong. I actually think we could probably get away with, yeah, we're going to shrink it down a little, pull it in, because we want enough space for the next piece we make, which is going to be the upper arm. We want it to be able to sort of meld into that spot because this is all going to be one solid piece when we're done. Um, let's get a side view. How do I like this? I kind of want it in line with the deltoid. Um, yeah, I think we can actually get away with making it a little taller and then shrinking it down this way. Yeah, I think that's gonna work because this looks a little silly and huge right now, but a lot of it's going to suddenly disappear. I do wanna, there we go, we're gonna bring it in. Very spherical, very spherical. Might even bring it that way a bit. Okay, I think that's good. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just make one arm entirely, and then we're going to copy it, flip it, and bring it over, and we'll do it that way. Yeah, I think that's going to be the trick here. Now I'm noticing, looking at this, that the bicep is a very similar size to the quad, and I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to steal our piece we made the quad out of, and that's what we're going to make our bicep out of. Let's see. Bring it up. And now it's all about finding our angles. Right, so it's gonna go forward just a little, but then it's gonna come out a bunch. Kind of about there. Something kind of like that. Let's see. What do we think of that angle? Is that seems pretty okay to me. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Could probably be a little bit shorter. So we're just gonna shrink it down about like so. Again, you're all seeing the process as it kind of occurs to me. All right, now we need our forearm, which comes out at a way funkier angle. And that's this point is going to essentially become like kind of the elbow. Um, I want to start from that same piece. Yeah, I guess I will. first things first, I want to get this thing pretty close to straight here. Something about like that. Let's get a top view. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, because I want to make it a bit more narrow. Yeah, maybe about like that. And then it's going to be it's a fair bit shorter when all is said and done. Okay, this is promising. All right, so let's get the angle from the front. We can kind of just see from the picture is about there. And I know from experience with these toys that the angle from the side is going to be like something like about there. And let's see how we're lining up all told here. Yeah, we might even be able to stretch that out a little bit. Something like that. I'm super excited. Just saw earlier. I'm almost hesitant to mention it anywhere because I don't want anyone snagging tickets before I have the chance. But I did just see earlier today that a steam-powered giraffe, who do not get out to tour this way very often, announced they'll be playing Boston in May. Very excited. I do not get to see them hardly ever. So it's a very big deal, and my wife's going to be very excited. All right, that's looking pretty good. Again, it's hard to stress enough how important it is that I will be smoothing this in Blender. Let's see. Yeah, I think I actually want to bring this end over just a little bit, and then the whole thing can kind of, yeah, see, this is the tricky part. We want to get the gesture right and the feel just right. I think maybe it's a little more vertical than that. Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And again, this definitely looks silly for right now, but that's kind of the point. Um, we want to get a hand on the end. All right, I'm gonna build the hand on its own and then shrink it down and put it up where it needs to be. So for the hand, again, I'm working from spheres here. We're gonna say that we want a thinner hand, a thinner piece for I'm making the palm all sort of one big piece here. Actually, I might be able to do it from a square. Truth be told, a cube might do the trick because I can increase the steps way up, but then I can also radius it really strong. So we might start from there, I think. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a little square hand, I think. All right, that's our palm. Little tic tac looking thing. So let's go ahead, and I think it's only going to take us maybe two pieces to give us the thumb. I don't need the big arch back on the thumb, although it does, again, when you're trying to create a gesture with a piece, copy a few of these here. There we go. It does help a little bit. Let's focus in here. Let's say for that first chunk of thumb, we want to go kind of fat. A little bit thinner this way. Certainly smaller that way. And I'm gonna, come on, come on. There we go. Go about there with it. We're gonna bring it in about there, shrink it down some. Yeah, that's gonna be the edge of the thumb. And then we can just just get all the rest of what we want here for that thumb. Keeping it very simple. And again, I'm gonna arch it forward just a little because we are sort of creating a gesture on the hand a little bit. Not much, just enough that you sort of see that it's a hand, you know? All right. Thumb actually ends up being way over here and pretty far forward. Actually think I want that angle a little bit more. There we go. Now the other fingers are going to kind of connect here, and I think I need the thumb to be even more pronounced this way. Yeah, that's okay. That's gonna work. Let's see, I think I'm gonna shrink this in a hair. See how that's all planned. Yeah, that looks good. All right, cool. Bring this guy in. I'm gonna make a copy of him to just set off to the side. And now we gotta play the game of how do we make this look like a finger. I do kind of want that little curve, so I think I'm going to use two of them for each finger. Bring it in like that. Whoa, okay. See, um, bring it in like that. Stretch it up a little. How's that for size? Looks good to me. Get a top view. Okay. And I'm gonna Control D that one. Bring it up. And tilt it forward. And now I'm gonna grab both. We're gonna tilt them both forward a little. And that's definitely finger number one. I'm even gonna, before I do anything else, I'm gonna Control D, slide that over. This, though, is gonna get just a slight to the side like that. This is gonna stretch up just a hair because not all fingers are quite the same size. We're gonna bring it over and let it connect. Boy, am I gonna have to shrink all of these? I might need to. Because these middle ones are all gonna be kind of the same. And then the last one, we are going to shrink down just a little and put it out just a hair like that. Yeah, and you know what? We're gonna We're going to tilt all of those forward just a smidge. Yeah, about like that. Yeah. Let's see how's that look? I think that looks pretty okay. And then we're gonna boom, 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 boom. Select all, and we're gonna tilt all of them a bit more. And then I think we're just gonna squish them in together. Like to about there probably, which means we're gonna definitely shrink that down a little and then kind of do that move. Yeah, he's got to be a steeper angle there. Thumbs are hard. Getting the gesture on a thumb just right is very complicated. I think it might be partly that it needs to be down some, which means this needs to shrink a bit. Yeah, that looks way more like a hand. Right? Cool. So now, delete this. Now what I want to do is I kind of want to, you know what, we can move all those over a little. Or they can be a bit wider. No, 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 not you. Everyone but you. Yeah, they can all be a little bit wider. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna take this, gonna tilt the whole thing to about there. Give it like about there probably. Let's get us a nice front view here. Come over to here somewhere, back there somewhere. Bring the whole thing up. Now let's focus in. Now we can really kind of zero in on where we want this to be and how big we want it to be, because it definitely needs to be like big. Okay, so the whole thing can definitely tilt more, but let's see. How do we like it if it's about there? Let's see. I think for now that's pretty good. Although, you know, I'm thinking, let's try this. Let's see what happens if I do like that, but like that. And then just a little bit of that there. Not that last one. There we go. All right. I'm going to stop fiddling with it because the perfect is the enemy of the good. And again, I'm going to be sculpting on this a bit more in Blender later. So I'm liking what we've done for that arm. So let's go ahead and copy the whole thing. We're going to Control D. We're going to flip it horizontally. And then we're going to bring it on over. somewhere like I want it to be pretty even. I think we're looking at it about there. Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now again, I can actually go and I can change it so that the arms are not quite the same as each other. Like we can change the pose on this. That's part of why I'm making this the blank here is I'll be able to take it and sculpt on it, but if I keep this blank here of just these raw pieces, I can change angles, which will change the pose of the figure. Um, I'll probably also design some like fist hands so that we have a different hand. Um, so I have options, but generally this is sort of the beginning here. Now we gotta do a head here, which I think we're gonna do is a couple pieces. We're gonna do a cylinder that we're gonna use as like sort of the neck, just as a sort of blanket connector. Um, and then we'll sink the head on top of it. That way, you want in the design no real gaps, you know? Like you can see here, this whole head connects as one piece. There's no gap. It's not like a skinny little neck with a big head on top. It's all kind of and that's for ease of making the piece. Because if I make these really well, I could probably just make molds and then cast them from resin, which is significantly faster than 3D printing, and gives me a lot of cool options with what I can do with the resin. I do think I'm probably going to do a bunch of different variants of these because I can use resins that are different colors. There's resins that are glow in the dark. Some are translucent. Some are opaque. You can marble your resins together to get some cool colors. You can throw glitter and stuff into the resin. Um, there's all kinds of like neat things you can do to make these look kind of wild. So anyone who ends up collecting these once we actually have them working, uh, probably going to be a fair bit of different styles, different color waves, and what have you. All right, let's get a good top view because we want this neck pretty well centered about here. I am going to make it a fair bit bigger because you're not really going to see this part. Let's see, we want it centered. And bring it forward a bit more. All right. And now we're just going to sink it on down. Yeah, and I may end up making this a bit smaller, but it really only needs to go to about there. Because now it gets its head, and the head is going to be like, kind of comedically big. I mean, that's these things. If you look at the size of the head on the body, it's not not totally spot on. So let's get this roughly in the ballpark, and then we're gonna oval it out a little bit because that's how it should be. So let's lower it down there. All right, looking good here. Just want to get a nice close look here. Yeah, I think this is a lot to work from. That's going to be pretty good, I think. And now we want to kind of oblong it up. And the head doesn't go totally straight on like that. It's going to be tilted back a little. This is going to be sort of what gives it its chin. The human body's a weird thing. And even though this is like sort of a very cartoony representation of a human body, still kind of accurate, you know? All right. And I could do a bit more to try to give this more of a chin, like I was saying, but I don't wanna get too far off with it. I'm trying to get the ratio of head to everything else Correct. And again, this is just a base layer that will be sculpted on later, so I think that's pretty good. All right, but there's one way to know for sure, and we want to get these sort of side by side here. And that's looking pretty solid. Like that's a good bit to start from. In some of these areas that are a little puffy and a little big, I'd rather have when the sculpting eventually happens in Blender, which I might do on a live stream. I might just do in some of my own time. Um, when that happens, I would prefer to have more meat here, so to speak, than less. In Blender, it's a lot easier to cut into and to push and to indent than it is to add. But this is, I mean, this is pretty great. Like I'm really kind of pleased with how this is looking. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to try to give us, yeah. I mean, right? Like anyone who's watched this far, I see we got some viewers. If you've watched this far and you're seeing what I'm seeing on my screen right now, like let's flood the chat with some emotes here. Like this came out pretty great. Like I wasn't totally sure what I was in for on this project. I'm thrilled with this. Um and yeah, like I say, there's I can work with the legs and change their gesture a little bit if I want sort of a wider stance. Um if there's someone who's like kind of a low fighter, we can kind of crouch him a little. And that's why I did this with all these individual pieces. I'll be able to mess with them a lot more later and give us much more the sort of design that we're looking for. Give us any kind of like special pose or shape. And this should stand pretty well as well. I actually think I want to stretch these feet up just a smidge. Um, yeah, do I like that? You know, I think they can honestly probably be a little bit longer too. Bigger feet is better on these because it's a little. Oh, there's whoa, hey, we got emotes flying. I looked away for a second. um, but yeah, I think this came out really great, and I'm really excited to move on to next steps with it. Obviously with when I'm making specific characters, like if I'm making myself, I need to give him sort of a vague hair sculpt on there. Things that'll just start him right. If someone is shaped a little differently, and wrestlers come in many different sizes and shapes, I can alter different things before I export. But essentially, what I'll be doing is when I go to sculpt on it for the fine details, I'll be I'll be Bob Ross emotes. Let's go. Um, when I do go to do the fine sculpting on it, there's a lot of steps involved. It's one of the reasons I might not do it on stream. It's not always super interesting to watch. Um, but I think this as sort of a vague base to start from is really great. And it's going to let me do some very cool things in terms of detail. And again, these figures are very small. They're a little bit. If you look at like your thumb, the distance from top of thumb to knuckle, they're only a little bit taller than that. So all the details are very minor and hard to see. And you can sort of see on the sculpting they've done here the amount of work they had to do to get all the little, especially since it's all solid color too, to get everything to stand out is a fair bit of work. Let's see, I'm gonna blow this up as well. Let's get a closer look at sort of the extended cast. But yeah, you can see where some of the work I have that lies ahead of me. I need to design closed fist design as well. Um, and then again, as I do individual characters, a Rip, a Delmy, I need one that's a little bit more of a female shape. Um, although this body is fairly generic, this could be anybody, right? Like if we're looking at the shape that I've just made here, this could easily be Rip. This could be me. This could be the Nomi, Gabby Forza. This could be Bear Bronson. This could be Ryan Mooney. Like you can kind of see that it could be just about anybody. Okay, Nika Beans, what did I say? What did I say that was so good? I ramble and talk a lot, so I never know. I'm never totally sure what people react to in the chat. Um, but yeah, I'm super psyched with how this came out. I do need to name the file. Muscle blank. It's me. Could be anybody. It could be anybody. Could be Nika Beans. Could be Rye. I mean, like honestly, when you really look at that, it's such a generic just person. It's not gendered in any way, and it's not even like body type specific in any way. It's such a cartoon representation of people. Like that's one of the things I love about the muscle figures is like they're none of like even like there's the slightly rounder ones, but it's cuz he's a boulder. They're all so very different. It's me, Austin. It was me all along. Um, I'm gonna pull in. We're gonna hop in here. I do think I want to build the Colosseum for sure. Just in Google search here, we're gonna take a look at some of the different designs. They have ones that are two figures and they're in a hold fighting. Um, there's some that'll probably look very familiar. This is Kinnikuman himself, main character. Angel Perry, maybe Pegasus, Perry, Perigasus, Pergasus, Pergasus, I think is what it is. We got to drop the Y. Pergasus. Let's see. I know that there are there's not they're mostly sort of male characters or characters that are specifically non-gendered, like these sort of tiki god character almost. There's like a monkey. Um, but I do believe that there are yeah, there's one. That's so it's kinnikuman or muscle. That's a keshi that is a female character. Blow that up. So like I would love to get in and do a design a little bit closer to this so that we can make a Delmy. We can we're all debating Pegasus. I can make a Delmy. We can make we can make Gabby. We can make Becca. There's so many that would be fantastic here. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of room to work with this. And one of the nice things about it is once the design is done and it's been sculpted on, there's not a ton of work to do past that. When I do the action figures, you have to make sure the joints function correctly. There's all the fine detail painting that has to be done. And if you do a new design, you have to do all of that over again. With these, I can be a little. I think I can be a little bit faster with how it works. Make a bunch of Rip Bisons, then make one chase variant of Tomahawk. Oh look, there's another. There's an. Oh, that might be the same figure. Is that the same one? Oh, there's yeah. See now, there's a few different. Okay, they did some Legend of Zelda characters. Now this I really dig. This gives a great variety of the character styles from this cartoon. Again, I've only watched a little bit of this series, and I loved it so much. So I really need to watch a lot more. I'm gonna drag over we're gonna take we're just geeking out now before I call it a stream. Um, this is the Kinnikuman Coliseum. I think we definitely need to spend some time getting a good look at this. Yeah, there it is. That's the shot we want of this thing. Look at that. I mean, come on. This guy even painted his Kinnikuman. Look at all the detail on that. He painted them to look like they look in the cartoon because they don't sell full color versions of these. But like this whole playset pops together. I did see there's a guy who has designed his own 3D printed pop together one. Uh, and Yeah, the spaghetti character is definitely like you got to watch the series. They're all real characters from the cartoon. Yeah, the one of the things I was thinking of these for blind boxes, I'm gonna 3D print some little eggs that screw together. And when you open them, it'll have maybe you get like three of these in a set. Um, and we talked for a while about selling like little 4 packs. Um, we even had plans for who was going to be in each series at one point. This was maybe 2 years ago. God, this is so gorgeous. Yeah, the arena playset is really stunning. I mean, even when you get just little bits of it together. Let's see. Here we go. Here's all the pieces that come in the box. Like this is like dream stuff to me. I am glad that people have posted their pictures so there's like references of what some of this stuff looks like. The box art is incredible even. All right, we're gonna geek out on some of these pictures and then we're gonna call it a stream here. But yeah, even something as simple as that. Look at that. That's beautiful. Yeah, all the inner workings with the tournament bracket. There's all the banners in there. Comes with a few little guys. Yeah, gosh, I don't know that I would be able to make these fast enough to sell them if I made like a grind arena that was like this. Um, but boy, do I want to try, you know? And look at that box art. Man, oh man. All right. I do know that with this play series, an interesting thing that they discovered, and I'm sure I could find pictures of it. If you do like this guy has done with the original play toy of this, and you post your guys all in it and leave them there, there is something about the rubbery plastic that these figures are made of and the plastic that the Colosseum was made out of that the Colosseum starts to melt itself over the years. Everything warps and like gets little like burn melty marks on it. It's happened to so many people and no one can figure out what the problem is and they can't fix it. People have tried clear coating the arena. They've tried clear coating the figures to try to keep off gassing from happening, and it's never worked. Let's see. Adam X67 says, take an idea from Jushin Liger. There'd be a fun idea to use another anime idea as a wrestler, Devilman. Uh, so to take an idea from Liger, he has Kishin Liger. That's his evil alter ego that he turns into, sort of like how Great Muto Kaiji Muto has the Great Muta. I've definitely given some thought to like, do I have an evil alternate Perry that comes out once in a while? It's something I've talked about, but we've yet to really find where that fits. Um, all right. So that is a ton of geeking out and being huge nerds together, and I greatly enjoyed it. For now though, we're gonna go raid somebody while we're hanging out here. Oh, and I know exactly who we're gonna raid. Buckle up, folks. We are gonna go raid LMK all effing day. Lil Mean Kathleen is uh is streaming currently. She doesn't stream very often. So we're gonna go raid LMK. We're gonna go hang out with her for a bit. So everybody hop in the chat over there. Tell LMK I said hi. Tell her to stop ducking me. She owes me a singles match once she's all healthy. We're gonna take off. I will see you all over there. Take care, everybody.